Hello guys. Just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched the videos throughout. And welcome to Uncharted Conversations. It's episode 3 right now, and I hope you're here and you were blessed enough to join us today. Yeah. So today's message is about not losing hope. Right. It's all about you don't have to lose hope as a human being. Right. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story that happened. Right. Yesterday, I relapsed, right? I relapsed yesterday, and I don't want to tell people that you know what. I don't know what happened. I actually know what happened. I became tempted, and I lusted over some things, and I relapsed. I was so weak. My temptation was strong, and I just decided to give it, right? And and I remember as as that moment happened, it kept on. I had this thing kept on this feeling kept on playing in my head. It almost felt like I have disappointed myself once more again, right? It almost felt like the world was coming to an end, because I remember one of those days where I used to be on my knees and I used to be praying to God, and I would say like, Father, help me to be freed of my addiction. Help me, Father, not to relapse. Help me, Father, not to be easily tempted. Not help me that even when the temptation comes out, I'll be strong enough to resist it, right? Because blessed is the one that can endure under the spirit of temptation, right? So I gave in to that temptation, and it almost felt like the world was coming to an end, right? And for I think that moment, I felt like nothing is gonna work out, and I've just disappointed myself. Like I felt this deep sense of judgment in me, and my heart was turning to pieces, man. Because when you go through 3 years of an addiction, right? Even more, like I've lost count of how many years I've been addicted to porn. When you go through those years and you finally decide, you know what, I'm free and I'm gonna take a stop and I'm gonna focus on better things, right? When you go through that and suddenly, one day you just give in to the temptation as easily as that, it becomes a moment. It becomes a sad moment. It becomes painful. It becomes so judgmental in a way that you can even lose hope, right? But I'm here to tell you not to lose hope, right? And I know that people will especially when you are dealing with addiction, people always tell you that make these affirmations to yourself that I will never go back, and do it in public. When you affirm and telling yourself that I'm getting free and I'm going to get sober, I'm no longer addicted to alcohol, I'm no longer addicted to such and such and things. People will always tell you that do it in public so people can hold you accountable, right? But I'm here to tell you something. If you are not the one who's if you are not the one who's going to hold yourself accountable, it doesn't matter, because you can do it. You can just quit just to impress people. That's the truth. You can wake up and decide, you know what, I'm no longer going to do this and that so you can impress someone else. But then you realize that here's the thing, man. When no one is around, when no one is around in that circle of yours, when you are lonely and alone, who's there? Who's going to hold you accountable? Then you become easily tempted and you fail. And then you keep on blaming yourself because you're not doing it for the right reasons. So learn to be the one who's going to hold yourself accountable, right? Even through the mistakes, even through everything else that's happening. Be the one that's going to show up and say, you know what, I know that I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with lust. I'm struggling with this addiction. I'm struggling with this and that and that and that. How do I hold myself accountable? How do I learn to keep these promises that I've made to myself, right? And to get from, that point of being down into that, that moment of saying I'm heavily motivated and I'm going to stop doing, whatever it is that I'm doing. And it takes time. It takes time. It takes times. It can even take years for you to, to be free, to be, to have the freedom that you seek, and what I can tell you is that don't lose hope, remember that the ones that are always at the bottom can rise to the top. Yes, the ones that are at the bottom can always rise to the top, right? So the reason I said don't lose hope, right, is because after that moment of, feeling sad and down, I did one thing that I know how to do best, right? And to be honest, that I should have done it the moment I started getting tempted, right? But somehow, I just forgot about it, right? What I did is that after that happened, I got on my knees, right? And I prayed to God and I say, Father, what's happening? I thought I was free, I thought I was, and I was gonna, everything is fine like that, right? But, and I remember there was this thing that told me that when the enemy attacks you, he's never gonna stop attacking you. He doesn't care how, well equipped you are. He doesn't care, who's in your arsenal. He doesn't care about the weapons that you have. You can put all the armor that you need. But as long as, the enemy wants to attack you, he's going to keep on attacking you. That even when the Bible says, no weapon of evil shall prosper. It's true, no weapon of evil shall prosper. But at the end of the day, the weapon will be formed. The weapon against you will be formed. That's what you have to understand. That you're not going to fight. You're not going to look only for victory. As long as the devil, as long as the enemy, as long as people who hate you can come up in ways to destroy you, they may not succeed, but they're still going to come with ways to destroy you. So I remember as I was praying and I felt that thing of saying, you know what? When the enemy attacks, he doesn't stop. No matter how many times you get saved, no matter how many times you become freed from that thing that you struggled with, he does not care. As long as he wants to put you down, you're still going to be down. So, and as I began praying and I feel convicted, right? And I start asking myself, why didn't I just pray when I started to get those temptations, right? And I remember, I almost cried, thinking about this. And in that moment, I said, you know what? Let me come and do this video to you. Don't wait until it's the last moment to call for help. That's what I learned in that moment. That's what I learned. Don't wait until it's the last moment for you to call on help. You see, I was tempted and I thought I could just, leave it like that. And after I've done that thing, that's when I actually called for help. But God is never late, right? God is never late. Get that in through your head. God is never late. I turn to God because God is the only one that I need to turn to, right? So you are going to come at a point where you are struggling with some things and you can seek out help. But you will wait until the final moment to ask for that help. But you'll wait until the final moment for you to ask for that help, right? And truth to be told is that when you get to that point where you can ask for help, you find that, the enemy is already attacked. But I'm here to tell you that even when such things have happened in your life, right, and you fell through some things and you fell in a hole that you digged for yourself and you're feeling down and everything else, remember that you can always rebuild, right? And this time, knowing that what you did, knowing what has caused you the pain that you have experienced in your life, knowing everything else that happened in your life, this time you know that you need to build a stronger foundation. This time you know that you don't need to just write things out. You don't need to take the edge off. Every time you become faced with the enemy, you attack immediately. Sometimes you just have to attack even when the enemy is not around. There's an African proverb that says, when the enemy is not within, then the enemy outside can do no harm. Wow, man. When the enemy is not within, then the enemy outside can do no harm. So look around your circles, right? Look around your circles. But sometimes that enemy is yourself. Sometimes your enemy is your ability to lose hope. Sometimes the enemy is pride, is greed. Sometimes your enemy is you thinking that you are strong enough to do anything on your own. You need people. You need God in this world, man. You need help. That's the truth of things. For me, man, I turn to God because God is the only one that I knew. God is the only one that I knew. I can only turn to God in such things, And I have been open to God about, everything else that I've went through. And I've kind of built, that thing in which I can communicate with Him about this thing. So today I just want to tell you something. Don't lose hope, right? Don't lose hope and don't give up on things, Every time you fall, just know that God, like He said in Isaiah 41 verse 10, right? It says, what does it say, man? So do not fear, for I am your God, right? So do not fear, for I am God. Do not be dismayed. No, so do not fear, for I am with you. So do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's what it says, man. So understand that when things go bad, God will send people, to pick you up. Sometimes He comes directly to you. Sometimes He'll send people. But just know that never lose hope that you are enough to be forgiven. Never lose hope that you are enough to, to start over and to think and to deserve a better, to deserve a better chance at life, So that's my message for you guys. I just want to say thank you, and I hope that you can join in the fun and we can, have more conversations like this. We can grow we can grow the channel and everything else. And I pray that I see you on the next one. Thank you. This was the second episode of Uncharted Conversations, and a new episode is, I'm dropping another episode on Thursday. I hope to see you there. Please subscribe. We already have 7 subscribers, and I just want to thank God for them. And I pray that by the end of this new week that is coming, let us at least get to 10 subscribers. I pray and may God bless you. Thank you.